Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast. I'm Rose, and I'm a content creator going by the handle Cheap Lazy Vegan, and I also own a vegan cafe by the same name as the podcast, which is SaVeg Cafe.
And I'm Daniel, also a vegan, and one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends currently living in different countries, and we'll be giving our savage take on all things life, veganism, and the latest trending topics.
So basically, whatever comes to our minds, because we love to talk.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the SaVeg Podcast.
Hello, guys. I have Nari here with me. If you're watching the video version, she's just wanting to play so bad.
So, Rose, did you want to introduce the topic on which we will be discussing on today's podcast?
All right. Today is episode 6. We're going to jump right back into a serious topic. Actually, I'm not sure if how serious is going to be, but probably we're going to talk about some societal issues as we normally like to do. Today's topic, we are going to be discussing gender double standards and different ways of which we, stereotype or maybe have different standards for the different genders.
Yes, this is very true.
We already kind of touched on this in a previous episode, didn't we? When we discussed like the masculinity and femininity and how like certain aspects of masculinity aren't really like certain aspects of a male sexuality aren't accepted compared to female, things like that. Exactly.
Well, and it's just interesting. I feel like where you see a lot of these come to play around these like stereotypes and stuff, I feel a lot of it, and a lot of the stuff we'll be talking about today is not necessarily our experience, but like when it comes to dating and stuff. So I feel like that's when
are we going to delve into the dating one? Are we becoming like a dating podcast?
I feel like that's what's happening. I mean, we're talking about our dating stories, then we're talking about like masculinity and sexuality. I was just going through actually this was episode 3, which actually will be released by now anyway. And I was going through it and we were like talking so much about dating there as well. It's like this is constant theme in our podcast.
Well, this is a big part of everyone's lives, right? Like because at the end of the day, human relationships are, kind of a huge part of everyone's life.
Exactly. It's the fundamental of like basically what makes us human. Our different relationships, be that, relationships of a sexual nature of like with a partner, but also friends and family. I mean, that's the crux of like our life.
Yeah. Oh my God. Nari is just wanting to, hold on.
I know.
Nari, what do you have to say?
She's getting crazy over there.
Nari, no, go down. Okay.
Before we
Nari,
kick off though, this
Nari,
is too
down.
funny.
Down.
Okay. Before we kick off, shall we do, I mean, I know we just literally recorded yesterday, but shall we do like a
Guys,
quick...
we're bulk recording.
We are. But I mean, is there anything else that we can get caught
update?
up on?
Well, first of all, it's like 8 a.m. here and I feel like I still have morning voice because I woke up like an hour ago. How do I sound, Daniel?
You actually sound quite nice. I feel like you have a quite nice morning voice, like...
Do I? It's a bit calmer than usual.
It's more tranquil. I can't even say
tranquil?
Tranquil, that's the word I'm looking for.
Tranquil. I think you spent a little too much time in Spain, Dad.
I mean, can you
Tranquilo.
I know. Can you believe that I'm teaching people English here? Oh my gosh.
Oh God. I don't even, again, Spanish children, may the Lord have mercy.
Of me as your English teacher.
Yes. Anyways, oh my God, Nari's like playing with a toy. I hope you can hear this. I do apologize if you can.
I can't hear anything.
I don't know. Like, what did we update on yesterday? I don't know what else to update on.
My life isn't that interesting. That kind of stuff. I mean, we briefly talked about New Year's plans. So I can't remember how much detail I went into last.
You said you're going to Barcelona and you might have to go to a house party or you might go out.
Oh, well, I've decided where I'm going. So there's like this massive, it's like an outdoor, like, I don't know if it's like outdoor, but it looks like it's outdoor club next to like, it's called Plaza Music or something something like this. Ooh. I can't say it right. And they have a big New Year's party. It's like the tickets are €45 each, which sounds like a lot, but
It's New Year's though, isn't it?
Exactly. One, it's New Year's. Two, it's a place where you can see like the big firework display. So like you'll be able to see it, which is awesome.
Ooh.
You get 4 drinks included.
Ooh.
Yeah. And on arrival, so this is a tradition in Spain. I don't know how much detail I went into last time as well, but in Spain, they do something 12 seconds up to New Year's. So what they do is they'll each get 12 grapes. And the tradition
12 grapes?
is... Yeah. So you get 12 grapes, and so you'll get this on entry into the club as well. Everyone's going to get like a little packet of 12 grapes. And when it gets to that 12 seconds before New Year's, every time the bell like chimes or whatever, the buzzer goes off, you have to shove a grape into your mouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the saying is, I think it's like, if you don't choke or cough or like have grapes falling out of your mouth, and you can do it in the 12 seconds, it means that you're going to have a really good year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try my best.
Daniel, do you think you're going to choke?
Doesn't happen very often. I might have to cut that part out.
Oh God, I think you should leave that in. Up to you.
I think it was just like a fun little like tradition. So we're going to be doing that.
Is it just you and Cristal that are going?
No, so one of my friends from Murcia that I met, who's also one of the like language assistants, she was going to Madrid, and I told her we're going to go to Barcelona, and she also really likes to go out, and she was like, "Oh, do you mind if like she's like, can I come?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like the more the merrier. Like come join us. Like so there's going to be the 3 of us."
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, which will be good.
Oh God damn.
Yeah. That be my life update.
Oh, God damn. I have no life updates since yesterday's. I'm trying to think. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've just been, I went to like a Christmas part, like a late Christmas party yesterday. And yeah, I have nothing planned. My life is apparently very boring. All I do is work. What's going on?
For New Year's, what do you guys, do you know what you're doing yet? I know you said you're going to a house party or something,
for New Year's, yeah. I think I'm just going to go to my friend's place. Nothing crazy. Because again, not everyone can fly to Barcelona just, randomly.
That's true. Oh God, I am going to miss that in Europe. Like don't get me wrong. I'm so excited to move back to Calgary, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to miss these like, for New Year's, I'm going to go to Barcelona, or for, this weekend, I'm going to go to Portugal, like it's just.
You know what you can do here? For New Year's, I'm going to go to my friend's place.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it's very exciting, you're going to go to the States.
Yeah, true. I mean, you just have to make the most of it. Every country has its pros and cons, right? So,
yes, very true. This will be saved for the Truth About Living in a Big City
podcast
episode, which we will be recording. I think after this, will it be?
Yeah, it's right after. Well, yeah. After this.
All right. So today's topic, like we said, is going to be about gender double standards and how certain things are accepted for women, but not accepted for men, and vice versa, and things like that, and how that plays out and what our thoughts are.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh God damn. And there be
getting
a lot.
deep.
We getting deep. Is this gonna be a controversial episode, Rose?
I don't know. Maybe.
But I feel like
I like these kind of discussions.
Yeah, me too. It's an interesting one. Like, yeah, I don't know.
So the reason why this topic like sparked up in our discussion is because I found either an article or a YouTube video or something that was discussing this, like, I think it was a talk show or a news show that was showing how women are now, because women are now earning money and educated, they're actually out earning a lot of men in terms of like income. And because of this is the language they used, okay? Because of this, women feel like they have to date down in order to meet a mate, and they're not very happy about it. Yeah. And I thought that was very interesting. Firstly, the term dating down I found was quite... I didn't like that term.
No, it's very negative.
Dating down.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's so like... It's basically what they mean is by dating down, they mean they're dating someone that's making less money than them, right?
Yeah.
So that's already fucked up.
Exactly. But also the connotation of dating down, I feel like, and this is just from my perspective, but if you're saying, I'm dating down, it means that you're dating somebody that you don't feel, you feel like you're maybe a better person, or they're not worthy to be dating you. You're dating below who you should be dating.
Yeah. Which is fucked up. And that's only based on the income level, which is even more fucked up. So, I mean, this is obviously worse. This is more than just a gender issue, but that's just more of like our society and how we see people that make less money. We clearly don't see them as equal or as, worthy over time.
Exactly. Well, and this is the interesting thing is like, I think we see this, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there where you're saying as a society, for whatever reason, we've kind of glorified people that make lots of money. So like we kind of put them on a pedestal. Like if you're making, as a society in general, I think it's changing now, but like,
I don't think it's changing.
You don't think so?
Maybe a little. I think overall I don't think it's changing based on that news article or the news story.
That's true.
But why are we using the term dating down even?
Exactly.
And I don't think it's changing in a sense that, like, for example, even like I think the people's attitudes, and that's including us too, without even realizing, like when we, see somebody that looks like they're making a lot of money or they look like they're put together in terms of like their clothes are on and they're like, like wearing nice clothes. We do tend to, without even realizing, think, oh, like they're posh. Even the term posh.
Yeah.
Right? In the UK, they really like that term.
Exactly. Well, we would deem them to be successful. And that's,
yes.
Inherently for most people is a turn on. It's like, oh, that person's successful.
Yeah.
They're, making good money, that kind of stuff. But like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not changing. Maybe I used the wrong word, but I think for me, as I'm getting older.
This is like the millennial episode when you're like, oh, millennials don't care about money as much.
Oh yeah. And then you're like, and
I was
Daniel.
like,
yes,
that is bullshit, Daniel.
Yeah. No, I think I used the wrong term. I think maybe I was just reflecting on myself in a sense that, yes, don't get me wrong. If you're right. If I saw somebody, they're dressed nice, they obviously take care of themselves. They're making good money. That is attractive. Okay. I'm not going to deny that. But also I think as I'm getting older, and from the vast number of people that I've met from all kinds of walks of life and different, financial backgrounds, I guess you could say, is I've realized that doesn't make the person. Do you know what I mean? Like I think,
yes.
What am I trying to say? I've internalized that's becoming less and less important to me.
Yeah, I mean, totally. That's for sure. And like, it's never the end all be all. Of course, it does definitely. I think I wouldn't lie and say that the income level doesn't matter at all.
Oh, no,
because
of
I do
course.
feel like it makes a difference. For example, like you and I are at a certain income level. And then if somebody makes way above or way below, it is going to make some level of a difference, especially in terms of dating. However, that's not the end all be all. So just because someone is rich does not mean I'm going to be attracted to them immediately.
Exactly.
And that's the only reason, or that's the main reason even. But it does play a role. For example, if someone is like dirt broke and I have a certain amount of money, that's going to play an impact in the dynamic of the relationship.
Of course.
So I understand this, but I just don't like, I don't like when people deliberately use terms like dating down or, use those kind of terminologies to make people that make less money feel less worthy or like inferior. Yeah. Because like, yeah, sure. I mean, I kind of get why, like, it's kind of fucked up, like women are making a lot of money, like good for us. Like it's awesome. But then I think that what happened is that again, we always talk about evolution versus, nature versus nurture. And I do feel like the society changed very quickly to allow women to work and make a lot of money. And women, like we went for it. We started going to university. We did all that shit, got good jobs. And now, but evolutionary wise, we're still kind of attracted to the idea of a man taking care of us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought it was interesting in that because I watched that. It was a YouTube video of those guys doing a review of this like news, news cast or whatever. And I thought it was interesting because the girl was really, really passionate about this. She's like, oh, it's so difficult now to date down. And then the two male news anchors were like, well, it's a bit, this, again, they didn't like the term. And they were like, well, it's funny because when, the man was the one that was the breadwinner and everything else, he's considered the breadwinner. He's not dating down. He's just providing for his family. Whereas on the flip side, if a woman's making more money, why can't she step into that role and, be the breadwinner for the family and take care of everyone? And then it was interesting
because of the gender stereotypes.
Well, this is it. That's what it is. And then one of the girls also said, she was like, which is another factor that we haven't really talked about yet, is there's the woman's side of it, but then there's also the man side of it. So like, because of that gender stereotype, it works both ways in a sense that men feel like they should be the one that's providing for the family.
Yes.
So a lot of time, actually what happens, and you were talking about dynamics of relationships, if a man is making less than a woman, he starts to feel inferior. And he starts just internally, and he starts to feel like less of a man, that he can't provide for his woman, And actually that can play into the relationship negatively as well.
Yeah, I think it definitely is both ways. It's definitely not just the woman that feels, that the man should be making more money. I definitely think it's also the man that feels like he should be making more money. So it does, I'm sure, create some friction in a relationship if the man feels like he's not providing for the family or not being a man in that situation.
Yeah.
Especially because again, our society deems, men that make less money as like, not as attractive or something like that.
I think, I think for me too, like you kind of mentioned it earlier, it just, the whole financial situation, it does play into relationships in a sense that like, if your partner, whichever partner is making substantially more money than you, it's going to factor in because it's like, they're going to want to do certain things and maybe you can't afford it and you feel like shit or whatever because, they want to go on fancier vacations or do whatever else. And there's going to be that constant kind of like power struggle within the relationship.
Yeah.
And another interesting fact, and I can't remember if this is still true, but I used to be obsessed with this TV show back in Canada.
What is it called?
It was called Till Death Do Us Part. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it, but I think you told me about it, Danielle.
Yeah. So I wish I could remember the like host's name because she's amazing. Like she's so good. So what she would do is she'd come into like quite often newlyweds or sometimes people that have been married for a long time.
Yeah.
And basically these people would just have like no knowledge on money and finance or whatever else. And they would be like spiraling out of control of debt and she would like come in and help them, manage their finances. But the reason I thought of this show is one of the reasons, I think it was like the number one cause for divorce is financial difficulties. Yeah. So because it puts that extra stress on a relationship. So I could see the whole the pay gap and whoever's making more, I could put that adds certain level of stress depending on how you deal with it.
Oh, it's so interesting. I find it interesting that, we're so like advanced technically in our society, but the way that we think about these kind of things is still pretty primitive. Because like I still feel like, sometimes I'm like as a woman, there is definitely like a sense of like, oh, I want the guy to kind of pay, for example. Yeah. Not always, of course. I don't really believe that the guy should always be paying, and I don't believe that I should be taken care of all the time or whatever. Yeah. But it is nice, I guess, it's when, the guy is, able to provide in a sense. Yeah. Even though I don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
But would you say that it kind of goes 50-50 as well though? Because I'm sure, I mean, again, this is a difficult one for me because obviously I come at it from a different angle because I'm not.
I want to hear about your angle.
I know. Cause in heterosexual relationships, it's very different. Right. But like, I'm sure if we talk to some of the straight men out there, they probably once in a while like it when their girlfriend treats them. Do you know what I mean? And takes them
100%.
Out.
Like I'm not all for like the guy paying all the time. Absolutely not. That would make me feel very uncomfortable. And I don't like that because then again, you're pretty much, I feel like you're kind of giving them power in a sense, in a way that, makes them feel like maybe, not always, but like, I feel like if a guy always insists on paying, there's something a little bit off too. Like, I don't know. Like to me, that's like a red flag. Like, of course, like it's nice when the guy pays, maybe a little more than me, but I would still want it to be more equal than not. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. And also just to note, like, I feel like we put so much of an emphasis on just finances, whereas I feel like, you can be a man in so many different ways. Like, you know, you don't have to be providing only financially. How about a man that like helps around the fucking house, or, a man that takes kids to go play soccer, or, those kind of things. Like, I feel like that's manly too,
Exactly. No,
like,
and I think
just putting some money on the table and saying bye-bye is not manly. Like,
exactly. But this is why I think like, well, and again, we kind of mentioned this in another podcast before when we were talking about this whole idea of masculinity and everything else. And there is that kind of shift where nowadays it's like you want that person that's going to be that equal, kind of almost equal partner within the house, not just financially, not talking about, them providing, and gone are the days where the man used to be the sole breadwinner and the woman would keep the house. You know what I mean? Like it's changed. We're past that now. And it's like, it's one thing. Yeah. Okay. Let's say the woman is making more money than the man. Well, it's like he can man up in other ways, right? And help out more around the house and like do other stuff as well to be that kind of like equal player in that relationship, right?
Okay. So what's another kind of gender double standard, do you think, in our lives, in this society, I mean?
I guess. Well, I don't know if it's just necessarily a double standard. I think it kind of, well, oh, I don't know.
What is it? Just say it.
It's the one about like, you know how if a family or like if a couple decides to have a child, it's generally the woman that stays at home with the baby.
Yes.
And I get it for the first little while, but quite often it's the woman that takes the full kind of like
100%.
maternity leave, and it's quite often frowned upon, or not frowned upon, but it's looked at as strange when a man takes, or not strange, but it's like it's less.
You're being very careful with your words here.
I know I am. I'm just like, it's just less common, and it's also people look at it differently. You know, they're thinking, oh well, what's going on? Why is this man why can't his wife take the time off? Do you know what I mean? Or his
like it's kind of messed up. That's still kind of something that I think, again, society hasn't caught up yet in terms of making it equal, because like it makes sense kind of in the beginning because obviously maybe there's breastfeeding and stuff.
Yeah,
but and I think that's why maybe it naturally just kind of goes to that direction of the women being the the caretaker. And also, of course, they do say that like naturally maybe women are a little bit better in terms of caretaking. Yeah. But again, that's not always the case. There are lots of women that are not capable of taking care of children either.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot of men that are really, really great at it, you know?
Exactly. And I think that the stereotype there, or the kind of like thing, is more part of it is the man being comfortable enough to ask in his work or where his workplace to say, I want to take this time off, because he feels that there's like a stigma to it. You know what I mean? Again, it's that idea of making that person less of a man. And again, I'm generalizing, but there's that whole idea of, taking that time off to, really, to have a family. It's kind of frowned upon for men.
Because they should be working, they should be making the money rather than taking time off to be with their family. Yeah,
which is interesting because it kind of leads into the next kind of stereotype that I briefly wanted to talk about. And I want to get your thoughts on this, because this one's kind of it goes to the whole idea of families taking time off individuals taking time off to have families, basically. And one of the things I can't remember if it was a YouTube or an article or something that I saw. And it was like basically, and this happens like all the time. So like, let's say you have a successful male CEO or whatever, drives his company, everything else. Everyone's like, oh, he's so ambitious. He's so driven. And he'll get all kinds of questions about, that kind of stuff. Versus on the flip side, if it's a woman, quite often, always the question is, how did you find, balancing having a family and doing this? Like, how were you able to, how did you feel about sacrificing that time away from your kids? And it's always, they always ask women that, but they hardly ever ask men the same question.
That is true.
Because it's automatically looked upon. Like if the woman is successful in her career, it's because she's had to sacrifice her family time. Versus a man, it's just expected.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of fucked up in many ways. It's fucked up for the women because... Well, I feel like I get why that question is asked. It's because still we live in a society where we know that a woman is probably taking care of the child more than the man. So we already know that we come in with this assumption that because, that is still the case, but the majority of the time, we come in with this assumption that this woman clearly had to make a lot of sacrifices, has to do a lot of balancing of the home and work life, whereas we know that the man probably is barely at home and just goes to work. So we already come in with that kind of, I don't know if it's a stereotype or it's based on statistics, a little bit of both, but we go in with that assumption that the man is probably never at home and he has a wife that takes care of the kids. Yeah. Whereas if it's a woman, you're kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Like, does she have a husband that's taking care of the kids, or is she having to make those sacrifices? Yeah. So... Yeah, and it is kind of like insulting in certain ways to be asked that, I guess, if you were like a CEO. But again, I get why people ask that is because we still have that mentality in our society, and we still have the statistics to show that women are still the ones that are taking most of the responsibility of taking care of the child.
When I think
interesting.
Yeah, and I think again, like to echo that, I keep saying that there is a kind of shift, because obviously gone are the days where we had like a sole breadwinner, really, because now it's so expensive, everyone has to work, really. But would you say that nowadays there's almost like an added pressure on women, because it's like you're expected to go out and work, and a lot of the time, the men, and I'm again generalizing, but I could be like completely off field here, but a lot of the time the men aren't necessarily equal partners in keeping a house. So a lot more pressure is put on the woman to not only be earning money, but also be maintaining the household.
100%. And this is why it's difficult, especially in the dating case. So going back to the first story about dating down, the reason why, again, I don't like the term dating down, but I get the pressure and I get what people are saying when it comes to women we have so much pressure now because like we said, women still are expected now to work. So we go and we work, and then we're also expected to somehow find a mate during this time that we're studying and working and all that stuff, which is fine. Find someone to marry. And then we're also still expected to have kids. Yeah. And then we have kids and we're still expected to, or at least we still want to, like, of course we want to work, but again, because society hasn't fully caught up. So women are still the ones that, usually takes maternity leave and, which, I mean, again, like fathers should get paternity leave. I think they should have the same types of rights, I believe. Yeah. If they want to choose to take that, I think they should have that.
Definitely.
Yeah, so then we have that added pressure of now we have to take, fucking however many months off for maternity leave. And then this is why women don't make as much money. I think there's a big misconception that there's the gender pay gap or whatever.
Yeah.
And there is a pay gap in terms of, yes, women make less money,
Definitely.
but there's a lot more to it than that. It's not just, like we have the same job and you just automatically make more money than me because you're a man. I think there's so much more to it. Like, for example, a woman, again, because she has to make those sacrifices, like taking maternity leave, how much more, like if a man does not have to take any paternity leave, he's of course going to make more money than her because he's going to be working during the time that she's off, taking care of her child. So yeah, so it is a lot of pressure on a woman because now, we do have to find that balance and we still haven't really figured out that, it's a cohesive kind of family unit here, not just the woman doing everything.
Exactly. So basically,
not that the woman does everything, but we're just making generalizations.
Exactly, we are, because there's a lot of great guys out there that do so much. You know what I mean?
Of course. And there's a lot of fucked up women out there that don't do shit.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I've been watching. Just a little side note. I've been watching this show on Netflix. It's called Women Behind Bars.
Oh God.
It was like, I think it's like an old TV show. You know those old crime shows?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have this weird obsession with those old crime shows, like forensic, like,
oh my God, Forensic Files.
Oh my God. It's so good. And then this Women Behind Bars show, I don't know what it is, but I'm like addicted. So this is why I'm like, women are also fucked up. Okay?
Yeah, no, it is so true. No, but you know what? Globally,
people are fucked up.
Yeah, in general, it's just like crazy. Like, I went into because I'm also fascinated by those shows. Just on a little side note here, while we digress,
Yes.
I literally was watching Forensic Files for a while, like 'cause they were on Netflix, and I watched them like back because it's really fascinating, but also it's like quite gruesome, like horror, like horrible things that happen.
Why do we like watching these shows?
I think it's just because it's like outside of your normal world, and it's something of more. You're just fascinated that these things actually happen. I think.
Yeah.
Like you're just like shocked like these things happen. But yeah, anyway, so I started watching it, and then I actually I had to stop watching it because like it wasn't putting me into a dark place, but I just like the more I was watching it, the more I was like, oh my God, this world is so fucked up. And I was like,
it's so true though. When you watch those things, sometimes it's like, that's why I'm like, I probably shouldn't be watching this kind of stuff.
It got too heavy, so I had to stop for a little while.
Oh, took a break. It's so fucked. But anyways, oh my gosh, that was a tangent.
Yeah.
So what other gender stereotypes are there, or gender double standards?
God, I don't know. Because like, again, it's an interesting one for me just because like for me, because you can come at it from your angle, because obviously dating men, you have experience in this aspect. Whereas I'm just coming at it from what I hear from my friends and that kind of stuff. Like but what's it like in the gay world? Because I know that there are still, it's not like in the gay world, everyone is seen as an equal, right? So this is true.
Let's talk about it from that angle. So, because a lot of people that are listening might not know much about the gay world, which I did not know too much about until you told me all this shit,
That's true. Well, I mean,
so
to be fair,
what are some like kind of stereotypes or double standards? Maybe, I don't know if there are, but like,
well, there's, I kind of mentioned this actually in the last podcast, but I'm going to revisit it anyway. So a few of the things, so obviously my limited experience of dating within the gay community, because, I'm a what is it? Commitment phobe. But basically there's some pretty fucked up shit in the gay community. One of the things that really does bother me, and I think it's like something that needs to be, talked about more, is that there's this not double standard, but like on dating apps and stuff, a lot of gay individuals, LGBT, who us as a community should be, because we're kind of like a minority, I guess, because we should be more accepting to people that are different and stuff.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
Within that, there's like some really horrible stuff that goes on like the dating apps, where I think I said this before, where it was like people will put on their dating apps like no blacks, no Asians, no femmes, no this, no that. And it's like, a lot of this stuff, like I get it that everyone necessarily has their preferences or whatever else, but like a lot of this stuff you can keep to yourself, and like if you're on Tinder or something like this, like you can choose to swipe who you want to swipe. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so they're just being snarky, basically.
Yeah, and it's just it's quite toxic in that aspect. And also one of the things that I've personally found, which is just like a frustration of mine, is that and this is more from the gay side of it, but like the gay community is like really hyper sexualized. So when it comes to dating and stuff, it's like, I would rather go on a few dates with somebody, but everyone is just like looking for like, a lot of people are looking for just like quick hookups and stuff.
See, that's another segue into a very interesting topic here, Daniel.
Is it?
Because I feel like, I've discussed this. I think I've discussed this with you, where it's very interesting that the gay community is very hypersexual. I definitely think that it is probably the most sexual, and gay men probably get some more than a lot of other groups of people.
Yeah.
And I believe that is because, even though you're gay men, you're still men. And I think men, again, are naturally wired to be a little bit more promiscuous. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think in many aspects. And yeah, I guess even in the, like, if you look in the animal world and stuff, it's like, it's just like, we're programmed to spread the seed,
Hunt. Spread the seed.
So,
oh God,
I know. So I do agree that maybe that's the case, but I think, and don't get me wrong, I've met some really great guys as well, but like there's a lot that I've just met.
Of course.
Yeah, I've met some
but
people
they all want to bang, bang, bang.
Like bang, bang, bang. And don't get me wrong.
Bang, bang,
I
bang.
mean, everyone enjoys that in life,
We're not going there, Daniel. We're not going in that direction, are we?
But sometimes people would like a conversation first, and not just be like, hooking up in a dark room with somebody that you've never met before.
Oh my God, I find that so bizarre to me. Like people that just, maybe I'm a grandma, I don't know, but like
maybe
people
we're
that
prude.
meet maybe we are, but like people that just meet for sex, like I honestly find that like so weird to me. I mean, of course, no judgment if that's what like both consenting parties like have a good time, although I would say it's a little dangerous perhaps.
Be careful, like, because you never know who you're gonna meet, right? So like that's why I think, like, for me, like I would much rather go and meet someone, have a drink, get to know them, and then if there's chemistry and everything, maybe something happens. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't just go out of my way to go to somebody's house and like, especially somebody I don't know, and just show up and just,
I know, but this happens a lot. And to be fair, not just in the gay community. I know this happens with straight people too. So I'm just like, it's a world that I am not familiar with, because I cannot imagine just like showing up in some stranger's home without even conversation.
Not even hi. It's just kind of like, all right, let's get to it.
Oh my God. Is that what happens? Like, I don't even know. I remember this one time when I was living in London, a friend was in London visiting, and her friend was a gay man. And I remember we're all chilling, having a great time, having some drinks. And then he was like, oh, gotta go. He was visiting too. So he was like traveling for a few days. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, I gotta go. And we're like, where are you going? And then he's like, oh, I'm meeting up with this guy at his house. And I was like, all right. Okay then.
You're like, all right, cool.
And he's done that multiple times before apparently. And I was like, okay, have fun. Be careful.
I know. Hopefully they're using protection. Like he's using protection and stuff too, because like there's so many additional things that come along with that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh my God, I know.
You just have to be careful. But anyway, so I think there's that. And then also I think it's an interesting one for like when two guys are going out, like we were talking about like, breadwinners and things like that. I think that dynamic is so different, because I think and maybe I could be wrong because I've never really had like a substantial relationship, so I can't really comment. But like, I feel like it's less important only because those stereotypes of a man being the breadwinner is for like heterosexual couples, whereas for like homosexual couples, be that women or men together, it just matters less, I guess. Like, obviously, it's finances.
I think so.
Finances are still important, like, you know, and ambition and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it is important to some degree, but I just think there's less of a stigma of dating somebody that's less, like, earns less than you and things like that.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. And it's true because, so I feel like maybe it's a little bit more equal in the gay dating sphere in terms of that. So like, of course, I'm sure maybe there's still a person that's a little bit more dominant. Is that the right term? Like a little bit more, you know.
Not always, though. You would think that.
Yeah. Not always. Of course, not always. None of these are always. This is all just generalizations. But I think most of the time, or maybe not. I don't know. Am I wrong? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Because I've seen so many like couples where it's like two super like, you know, masculine guys or two super feminine guys or masculine and a feminine, you know, all kinds of different, you know, two normal guys.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's a whole different ball game.
It's a whole different world that a lot of straight people will not understand.
No.
But I will try to understand because I find it very fascinating.
I know. I find it fascinating, you know, when I figure it out.
We need a lesbian on the show. We need to bring a lesbian on the show to discuss the lesbian perspective and a bisexual. Let's just bring everyone in.
Well, in London, I have a couple friends that are bi, but I'm like thinking about in Calgary. I don't know if I know it. Do I know anyone that is?
I know a couple of lesbians, but I don't know if they would want to be on this show.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, you know,
maybe they'd feel pressure.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know that many well, I know, I do know a couple lesbians, but not as many in terms of like, I know a lot more gay guys. Yeah. Because apparently what was it, Dad?
A fag hag.
I'm a fag hag.
You're not, but like, yeah.
God, you know, gay community is actually quite offensive. It's actually funny.
Well, it's so funny.
It's very vulgar.
Like, it is. And also like another thing too, like going back to the whole, like, you know, you think that the LGBT community would be quite open and friendly because again, we're discriminated against, right? And I distinctly remember when I was in uni, I went with two of my friends from university, these two gorgeous girls. We went to Twisted. They were lesbians. And
Twisted is a gay bar, by the way.
Yeah, it is the only gay bar in Calgary. And I went with them, and they were wearing like high stiletto heels and like really dressed up. They were like, you know, really dressed up and stuff.
They were lesbian, you said?
Yeah. And they looked really, really good. And so we're going to the bar. We're trying to get in. And all of a sudden the bouncer was like, girls aren't allowed to wear heels and like they can't be having purses or something like this. And I was like, what the hell? I was like,
a girl can't have a purse? Excuse me?
And it was like, they couldn't be wearing heels either. And I was like, hey, what are you talking about? And then I saw like this drag queen walk by in like high heels. And I was like, yeah, but that drag queen's wearing high heels. So like, what the hell? Like let my friends in.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they were like trying to like not let
girls in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. If you say girls shouldn't have purses, that's literally just saying no girls allowed.
Exactly.
Like, there's no way a girl's going to go anywhere without a purse.
Yeah, it sucks. I hope eventually we're going to get to the point in Calgary and also globally in a lot of different places where we don't actually have to have distinct gay bars. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like every bar would just be like a bar that you could just go to. Like it doesn't matter, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. That would be
but you still wouldn't want a place where you know that everyone there is like most likely to be gay. Well, isn't that kind of nice though in a way?
I mean, that is nice in terms of like if you want to hit on somebody, because like for me, exactly, because like for me, like there's been many times where I go to like quote normal bars and like I'll meet a really, really, you know, good looking guy, but I never like I never put a move on it. Exactly. And I never like go there because I'm nervous in case that they're not, and I don't want to feel stupid and like I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. But you know, there's
so many gay guys and so many gay people. Like I wonder what the do they say the percentage is?
I can't remember. Like it's
so like 20%. I just made that up. Don't quote me on that.
I heard, but again, I mean, where they're going to get these figures, who knows? Because half people are like closeted, or not half people, but like so many people are.
A lot of people are closeted. Yeah.
Or there's like bisexuals or all kinds of different people. But I think that they said it was like 9% or something of people.
Okay, so I'm going to double that. Yeah. I'm going to say 18%.
18. God damn, that'd be a whole lot of.
I don't know. I see a lot of gay people. Like, and I think I have a pretty good gaydar, so I just know. It's like
me.
It's like rainbows just fall out, you know?
I mean, that would be so helpful if it was like, there was like a sign.
Should we have a sign?
No, but I mean, like, do you know if there's like a little thing that like popped up above somebody's head or something so that you just knew?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Or like, you know how like, married people wear like wedding rings? Like maybe like, straight people can wear like, a blue bracelet and like, I don't know, like, and gay people can wear like a red bracelet. I don't fucking know. So that you guys know, that would be so much more helpful.
Exactly. Because then you wouldn't have to have gay bars. You just have normal bars where people would go.
But then we're segregating people.
That's true. Oh God.
Actually, no. So there's this thing in Korea. It's kind of fucked up. So in Korea, they have in the nightlife scene, they have a thing. So they have clubs, like regular clubs, where people dance and shit. And then they have a thing that they call nightclubs, which they actually distinguish the difference. So there's clubs and nightclubs. I don't know. Have I told you about this, Daniel?
I think so. Is this the one where like you would like a girl
like
would go with
up.
her friends?
Yes,
and then,
yes.
guy would, yeah.
Okay, so basically, the nightclubs are basically a place where women and men are supposed to like meet each other. So you don't go to a nightclub with someone of the opposite sex. So like if you're a guy, you only go with your guy friends. And if you're a girl, you only go with your girlfriends. And
so we couldn't go.
You and I could not go unless we find some gay / heterosexual nightclub, which I don't think exists. Anyways, so you go, it's kind of really fucked up. I don't know if it still exists because I haven't been to Korea in so long, but basically, so like a guy goes there with his friends and like rents a room or something and like spends a lot of money on like booze and all that stuff. And girls go there and they usually they don't have to spend anything at all or maybe very small amount of money. And then they sit down and then waiters will like walk around. There's like a ton of waiters and they walk around and they just grab, this sounds so fucked. They just grab women by the arm and women like know this is going to happen, but then they like pretend they're like, oh, I don't want to go. But like, they know it's going to happen. That's like the whole point. But they're just like, oh, like, they just like pretend that they're being dragged or something. Maybe it's like, I don't know, some kind of weird thing anyway. So they like grab you by the arm and then they like drag you to some like other table with a bunch of dudes and they just sit you down. And then it's kind of like speed, not really like speed dating, but like that's how you get like kind of hooked up. And then like, if you like each other, you can like drink and like chill or whatever. And if you don't, you can just go back to your table with your girlfriends. Anyways, it's messed up. But the whole point, the reason why I brought this up is because over there, if you genuinely go there and you don't want to get, dragged, then you can wear like a bracelet that says like, oh, like I'm taken or something like that.
Oh, okay. I'm taken already.
Or like I'm not interested in getting dragged and being treated as an object.
But then what would that girl do? Would she just stand there with her friends, wait for all of her friends to get dragged and then go home?
Well, I think, I'm pretty sure if you have that bracelet, you would probably go with somebody else that also doesn't want to get dragged. I don't know. I'm not sure. And then they also have like a little dance floor, so you can like dance there. I think.
Okay, so there's I was just envisioning all these people just kind of standing in a hallway, like waiting to be dragged into these rooms.
So the girls do get a table. It's not like they're just standing there like cattle, like just kind of waiting to be sold. Okay. They do have like a table. There's drinks, like there's food. Like it's not like, I mean, it's still fucked up, but it's not as fucked up as you just described.
I was like thinking, oh my God, that's intense.
Oh,
I'm not sure I want to go to Korea. God damn.
Oh, Korea is, again, not sure about now, but Korea is still quite sexist. So I remember like, I think now, oh God, if we're going to talk about gender double standards, Korea is like the fucking epitome of gender double standards.
Really? Can you share in some Korean double standards that they have?
Haven't been for a long time, for almost 10 years, 9 years, I think was the last time I went, which is why we should go, Daniel.
We be changing that next year.
So, but I remember because back then when I would go to a bar in Korea, like you could smoke inside the bars. So everyone would be smoking, right? But guys would be smoking openly. And when you go to the female bathroom, girls would hide and smoke. So like girls would not smoke in public. What? Not all girls, obviously. But if you go to the female bathrooms, it stinks of like cigarette because girls like don't want to smoke in front of guys because they think it's like unattractive, even though like every guy is smoking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was like one thing I noticed. I was like, holy shit, like this is kind of fucked up. Because like every guy in there was smoking. I'm like, why do girls like feel the need to hide? Because the people are so judgmental. So they know that they're going to be judged for it. So anyways, that's an interesting little thing.
I feel like from my limited knowledge of Korea, I do feel like there's a lot of pressure on women. Like
a lot of pressure.
Like so much more, like even more so than, because you know how there's like those, like we have the Western standards of beauty and things like that, the things that we think of like what we should look like and aspire to. But I feel like from what I've heard is like in Korea, it's even more. It's like girls are like pressured into getting plastic surgery and like
so
doing
much.
all of this additional things to look this certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic surgery is huge. You know, I just got my eyes done last. No, I'm just kidding. You know, it's funny. It's actually kind of sad because sometimes I tell people I'm Korean. They're like, oh, like, did you get any work done? And I'm like, holy shit.
Like,
no, I did not. This be the work of a natural. This be the work of like Mother Nature. I mean, aren't you amazed that this is not plastic surgery?
Oh God.
Anyways, yes, there's a lot of pressure. Oh my God, I could do a whole episode on Korea. Jesus motherfucking Christ. But we won't.
Should we? As a potential topic, I would write it down, but.
Are you interested in that topic?
Well, I could ask you questions. So you could like,
okay.
we could like
You'll
talk about
Korea.
Me? Yeah, I'll interview you about life in Korea or life in Canada as Korean.
Immigrants?
Yeah.
As a Korean? Oh, yeah. God damn. Well, I mean, we're both immigrants, aren't we, Daniel?
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
But you don't really feel like you're an immigrant, do you?
Not so much. It's interesting though, because having lived in the UK versus having lived in Canada, it's like there are some like socially and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of differences. Like I just feel like
100%.
Yeah. Like I feel like because I grew up in Canada, I feel more Canadian than I do British. I mean, I liked being in the UK. Yes. I enjoyed it there, but like my home and my heart is always going to be in Canada. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And then also this is going to sound really bad. But like, I feel like being British, there's certain aspects of culture and everything else. But when it comes to like, what am I trying to say? Like cultural elements.
Just say it, Daniel.
No, I don't. I just don't know how to articulate it.
Oh, you just don't know how to word it? Okay.
Yeah. Like, you know, for example, in Korea or like, let's say another country, you guys have so many really distinctly different customs, ways of dress, ways of eating, traditions, these kind of stuff. Whereas in the UK, it's like really the traditional food there is like, you know, fish and chips and, you know, it's not something crazily distinct. And like all the holidays are generally the same as what we have in Canada.
Do you know why though?
Because we were settled by them.
Not just that, but the entire world is an kind of what's the word? Like because British have colonized the majority of the world, we live in a very Anglo-Saxon? Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. So everything is kind of like, that's the baseline of what's considered kind of like normal. Okay. In a way. In I think a lot of places. So, but yes, of course, Canada is even more so because we are a British colony. So everything's like kind of the same. But not really. There are definitely differences.
Oh, 100%.
That we will discuss.
Yeah. We will discuss on a future episode of this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. That's another goddamn topic. Like how the world is now, you know, the way that we see the world has been so heavily shaped by whoever was the colonizer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Oh, God damn.
Do you think also, and I think there's pros and cons to this, like the way that we saw the world and the way that we're seeing the world is dramatically shifting with the internet as well? Because now, for example, we are getting so much more exposure and, you know, like, for example, even on YouTube and all of these things to, you know, different foods, different like cultures, different ideas, people be able to express themselves. And like, it's becoming so much more like not transparent, but like the world's becoming smaller.
Intertwined?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I think so.
And more intertwined.
Yeah, it's really interesting because now, we have so much information now too, so we can see like what's going on in like Africa, in Asia,
Exactly.
we can see what's going on in Europe, and before we didn't really have that. All we had was the news, right? And now we can watch YouTubers that live in the other side of the world, so we have a lot more information, and now it's becoming more and more like it's just more globalized, and now everything is just kind of like more connected, which I think comes with pros and cons, obviously.
Definitely.
Yeah. What makes me sad though is when I go to like a different city and I think like, oh my God, like look at, it's like Starbucks and McDonald's and like, Burger King. And I'm like, oh God, what happened to like, the uniqueness of culture?
I know this is the thing that does really bother me. Like it's in some ways like that's one thing I really like actually where I am in Spain right now, because there's not a lot of chains here. Like, yes, okay, we do have a Burger King. There is a McDonald's here. But they're not on every corner. It's not like, there's like 4 Starbucks on one corner. It's like, actually, I don't even think there's a Starbucks. Oh no, there is a Starbucks here.
There's more mom and pop shops, like small shops.
It's like locally owned little places. Yeah. And I'm like, I really wish that there was more of a push for that, like globally, because like you have these global superpowers like McDonald's and all these like big, huge conglomerates or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't like it as much.
I feel like that's because I remember Italy was like that too. Like Italy is very much like more traditional.
Yeah.
And I feel like Spain is kind of similar to that, whereas like they don't want to be like, every other country with, all kinds of chains. So they want to like, you have to want to preserve your culture more than you want like, I don't know.
Fast food chains.
Yeah. Yeah. But that comes at a cost because they're probably not doing as well financially, like economically.
Potentially, yeah.
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 Oh God, that's another goddamn topic. Why do we delve in? Like, what is our podcast about?
Today
World
it was
issues?
it was about gender stereotypes. So we went through a number.
Yeah.
Shall we get back on track to another gender stereotype?
Okay, we'll do one last one. Can you think of a last one? Can
God,
you think of another one?
There's so many, but I feel like I didn't prepare well enough for this.
Well, I have one. I think that women, there's definitely more of a pressure on women to look good. We could talk about that. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, actually,
I don't know if that's interesting.
No, I think I would agree there's a pressure on women, but I'd also say that there's an increased pressure on men as well.
To look good.
Yes. So
interesting.
Yeah, because like, for example, you see, just as you see with women and stuff, but like so many guys now are, on Instagram, everywhere else with like these chiseled abs saying like, this is the fitness, this is what you need to be doing. All these like really intense diets and stuff to look a certain way. And like, there's an added pressure on guys to have that like chiseled 6-pack look.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's considered
because of social media, I think a lot more so. Right. Interesting.
Hugely influenced by social media. What do you think from the female perspective, Rose? God dang it.
Well, I think that again, maybe I feel like I do a lot of this like generalization of genders, but you know what? Let's just go with it. So I do think that men tend to be more visual when it comes to their level of attraction. I think generally speaking, women are a little bit less visual. Of course, we care about a guy's looks, but not I don't think to the extent of most men. So I feel like women, because of that, and also, of course, society-wise, women traditionally, our job was to like look pretty so we could get married and have kids or whatever. So like, I think that's another factor that plays into the discussion. So women were traditionally, the ones that were supposed to look pretty and all that stuff. But now maybe things are shifting again. Women are becoming more shallow too. God damn, we'd be creating a world of shallow ass motherfuckers.
This is true. But I think there's definitely in the last like kind of 5 to 10 years, there's been that added pressure on guys as well. Because it never used to be so
100%.
prevalent. Yeah. I mean, it's always kind of been there in the media, but it's like more pressure now more than ever. And especially with social media, it's in your face. And also I think like some of these bodies and stuff that you see out there, it's just like, they're so extreme. And it's just like, you're just never going to be able to achieve these like as a normal person. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of it's like surgeries and all this, like this huge craze of having like girls having these massive butts and all of this stuff. Like, it's just.
But how important is it though? Yes, there's a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Okay. So for men, yes, there's definitely increased pressure compared to before. There's still a lot more pressure for women, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. Because I think there's different types of pressures. So men have more pressure, again, to be more financially successful. And provide for the family or whatever the fuck. Okay. And women have still the same pressures of, looking pretty and all of that stuff. And I still do think that at the end of the day, like, women don't care that much as men think that we do about like a six pack. I don't know. Do you care about a six pack from a gay perspective?
I don't care so much. Like, obviously it is a turn on if somebody has a six pack. I do like it. Like, that it's not the be all end all. And like, if somebody didn't have it, I'm not going to not date them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
how visual are you in terms of your attraction?
I think I would say I'm pretty visual. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, they have to look a certain way. It makes me sound so shallow. Oh my God.
They have to look a certain way.
Oh my God. This is why I'm single, you guys. This is why I'm single.
No, you're not shallow. You're being honest. This is just attraction. You can't control
exactly. Like,
what you're attracted to.
I like certain things. And I think I am a very visual initially, right? But they still have to have personality and stuff. I'm not just going to date somebody because they're super hot. Like, some people will just date somebody because they're super hot. Like, for me, it's like they have to have the whole package.
Okay, let's see. How about, a guy that's really hot with very little personality, a guy that's really not hot with a great personality.
I think I would go for the not hot with great personality.
What if he's like hideous?
Well, you didn't say hideous. That wasn't an option, Rose.
Oh, so, God damn. I think I'd just die alone. I think that would be my choice.
Well, because the thing is, at the end of the day, looks fade over time. Like, if you're looking at somebody as like a long-term partner, it's like you need somebody that you're going to have good banter with.
Good banter.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, like, somebody that's, really attractive right now, they're going to be attractive for a while, but like, eventually you won't get old. And
that's true. People do get
old. And we're not going to have
we all going to look nice and shrivelly.
Exactly. And at that point, when, everything starts going south, you better have some good conversation and stuff.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the truth though. It's the reality, right?
It is the truth.
So
going back to the whole, like, women and men, the pressure of looking good, all that stuff. Don't you still think that it is more likely for an ugly guy to get with a hot woman than the other way around? How many, because there are so many couples where you're like, you look at the guy and you're like, you're definitely not that attractive compared to this woman.
Yeah.
But how many couples do you know where it's the other way around?
Not many. I think you're right. I think that, and a big part of that is, again, it comes down to, and this is going to sound bad, but financial stability and stuff. If not a very attractive guy is, a freaking millionaire. Well, guess what?
Or he's really funny, for example. I think there's like, again, like, I find like humor very, I think that's attractive.
That's true.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, Rose,
whereas if a woman is funny, but she's not attractive, she'll probably just become a bro.
Rose, is it too much for me to ask for somebody to be attractive and funny? Like, is that too much for me to ask?
Oh, goddamn, Daniel, we not going personal, are we? I know. Daniel. Oh, what do you want? Okay, let's just put out what Daniel wants in a partner here. Okay.
No, I don't want to do this.
Taller than Daniel, which is taller than 6 feet.
Yeah.
Ideally.
No, or my height.
Or 6 feet. Because the average man is 6 feet tall, apparently. Okay. 6 feet. What else, Daniel? Oh, they have to be masculine acting.
Oh God, Rose. Do we
have to go
They also have
to, yes, we're going there. Oh, they also have to be funny.
Yeah.
They also have to be very good looking.
God, people
have a fantastic personality.
God damn. People on this, people listening to this are going to think that I'm actually like crazy.
No, they're not, because it's normal. I think a lot of people have, it's fine to have standards. I think it's good.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like I said, if I met somebody that obviously these are things that I would like, but like if I met somebody that didn't fit into those boxes, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to date you. It's just like
That's what you say now, Daniel. Let's see what happens in the future when it does happen.
I happen to have really bad luck with dates, and I end up with, dating people that are freaking psychopaths. So, and if you want more of that, check out Patreon for our dating episodes.
I love the plug-in. Yeah, so you can hear all about Daniel's and my past dating woes in our Patreon, or for our Patreon exclusive first episode.
Yeah. Oh God, Rose, what's it going to be like for me dating back in Calgary? I'm like a little bit scared.
Oh God, Daniel, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know, because I don't know the gay scene. But all I know is that
for so long, so
we're old as fuck.
I know, this is the thing. I'm going to be there. I'm like a senior now. So like, I'm going to go, because last time I was in Calgary dating, I was 25.
Yeah.
So I was like young, hot thing, you know?
You're still a young, hot thing, Daniel.
And now I'm going to be 31 and people are going to be like, actually, no, I'm going to be 32 by the time I move back. And people are going to be like,
you know what?
This guy's over the hill.
You know, your complaint... Your complaint was that, you know, gay guys, the gay community is a little bit too like sexualized. But maybe now that you're a bit older, you know, you'll find more serious people that want to actually settle down. So it might actually be better than when you were 25, because now people are a little bit more mature and they actually want to find a life partner.
Exactly. And they want to meet a lovely guy like me.
Yes. And have little babies with you.
Oh, God
Adopt
damn.
little Asian babies.
I know, from Korea.
From Korea? Is that why we're going to Korea, to scope out the babies?
Did I not tell you this? Like that was part of my plan.
That was the initial plan? Well, I thought we were going to get married and adopt little Korean babies and have an open marriage.
So many plans, Rose. So many plans. I need to start writing all these down.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, well, someone has to pee, which is me.
Okay. So should we...
And it's been about an hour, has it not?
It has. So...
Okay.
Do you want to finish?
Oh my God, do we need a vegan nugget?
I know. I was going to say, do you have a vegan nugget for us?
Damn, I'm running out of vegan nuggets. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so a tip for going vegan, or for a tip for vegans. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say. I can't remember what I've said before, but I will say, try to be open-minded. And when I say that, I mean, I think it's very, at least when I first went vegan, and still now, I sometimes, you know, don't understand when other people, this is for people that are vegan already, maybe. I never understood how people could, you know, continue to support such a horrible industry or industries. And I just didn't get it. And I thought, oh my God, are these people like evil, or are they bad people? And like, I just didn't get it. And I was probably a lot more judgmental and stuff like that. But try to be understanding, I guess, and realize that we're all just kind of products of a society that a lot of us, we can't control our, you know, the way that we were brought up. And I think it's very hard for a lot of people to change.
Yeah. I think that's a good one, actually. You know, not just a vegan nugget, but in generally in life, is just to try to be like, you know, open-minded and understanding of where other people are coming from, and try to kind of like, you know, not necessarily push your judgments, but try to like, you know, come at things with a more open mind. I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Do you have one, Daniel?
I don't actually. No, that was
okay. So we're just gonna end at that one.
Yeah, and yours is so good. So, you know, I just want to add to it and just say, in general, and laugh. You know,
life lessons with Rose and Daniel.
Yeah, be open-minded, because honestly, you would be surprised. And I'm going a quick tangent, because I know you really have to go to the bathroom. But you would be surprised at the amazing people that you can meet in life just by, you know, just being open-minded and understanding where other people are coming from, different cultures, different backgrounds. I think it's just good for yourself as a person as well, you know?
Yeah, for sure. At least try to be open-minded, try to be empathetic, and try to understand other people's perspective, even though you might not agree
with it. Exactly.
Yes. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just a quick reminder, follow us on Instagram at the SaVeg Podcast. As well, if you like this and you want to get more of me and Rose and exclusive content, check us out at Patreon, patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast. All the links for iTunes, Spotify, everything is in our Instagram bio. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.
That's where you can find us. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.